getting drunk on a plane. Buying drinks for everybody but the pilot. It's a party. Got the 737 rocking like a G6. Stewardesses, some sexy leaning, pouring coke and whiskey. Told her about my condition. Got a little high flight attention.
Welcome to SportsKop Vodcast edition, right from our studios located in a secret place. This is Chengiz Khan, this is Harsh Patel, and now you can look at their beautiful faces while listening to their amazing voices, talking about sports all around the globe, but focusing on America, because we live there.
And who are you?
Oh, I'm Aditya, by the way. That's not really significant, considering I'm the host. I'm not analyzing, at least for the NFL. So we'll start with the NFL, speaking about it. There's been a lot of talk about Ray Rice and all that other stuff about the commissioner, Roger Goodell. That's the same, right?
Yeah.
That's how much I know about the NFL. So we don't want to talk about it too much, I guess, because it's been covered by everybody in the nation so far. But I just want to get a little bit of thought from you guys as to how the NFL handled the situation and whether you guys think that the commissioner should be fired or just your thoughts in general.
They handled it really poorly. They suspended him for way too short amount of time, and they probably could have got the video, but they chose not to. Edited.
I don't know, it's basically like beating a dead horse now. Like, everyone knows that they did a bad job handling it. I heard they actually got the video back in August. So it just shows, like, how they didn't enter this with the right mindset.
Yeah.
And they basically didn't care unless it was something that PR reasons they had to care about.
Exactly.
Right. I think that's what we really want to talk about it, considering it's all around the news and we've listened to it a lot. So let's go to something that we've been actually looking forward to for a long time, especially these two guys. NFL Pick'em. Week 2 is here. One of the games has already started, but that doesn't mean it's too late to pick who's going to win, because it's only the first quarter right now. So we'll start this pretty quickly. We didn't have some special segment, just because this is our first podcast, so bear with us. So the first one we're going to do is Pittsburgh Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens. And what do you think, Hirsch? We'll start with you.
I saw an update that the Ravens were up 7-0, but I'm still going to go Steelers. Stick by my original choice.
I was going to originally go Steelers also. I just think they look really impressive offensively, and the Ravens did not. And with Ray Rice is already not going to play in this no matter what.
Yeah.
But Bernard Pierce hasn't looked good for them, and Joe Flacco kind of only has Steve Smith to throw to right now. So I just think the Steelers are a stronger team, even though they had a defensive collapse in the second half against the Browns.
Okay. I think the Ravens are going to win because they're winning right now. So we'll go to the Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. We'll start with you this time.
Is it in Buffalo?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be closer than people think, but I think Miami pulls it out. They came off a strong win against the Patriots, and the Bills have a nice defense, but their offense really can't do anything.
Haven't both these teams kind of struggled recently?
Yeah, they're both underrated. I'd go Dolphins too, but they're both teams people should keep an eye on.
Gotcha. All right. I really don't have much to say when it comes to those kind of games. Jacksonville Jaguars against the Washington Redskins. I know that there was a lot of reports about RG3 not being that great last game, or he got a lot of criticism, I guess.
Yeah.
So do you think that's going to change this week, or what are your thoughts?
This is actually a really tough pick for me because Jacksonville looked better than everyone thought they would, and Washington looked worse than people might have thought they would. I think the new coach, Jay Gruden, doesn't look very impressive right now. And like you said, RG3 didn't look back to his rookie year form.
Right.
And Jacksonville looked like they could actually put some numbers up, their offense, which is very surprising. And their defense actually was expecting to improve this year. So I'm going to go with the upset and pick Jacksonville to win.
Okay. What do you think, Hirsch?
It's almost like picking your poison here. There's just two bad teams going at it, but based on what I saw last week, I'd go Jaguars as well.
Okay. I'm gonna go against the Redskins because one of the people I know, they're Redskins fans. I don't like them. So we'll just go for the next game. It's America's team, Dallas Cowboys against the Tennessee Titans. What do you guys think? Dallas Cowboys lost to the Niners last week, right?
Yeah.
See, I know my football.
I'm going Titans for sure. They look really good against the Chiefs, who were a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
Their offense looked good. Their defense looked really good, and well, as you could tell from the Dallas game, they just looked pretty bad. Yeah.
I don't know. Despite that, I still want to go Cowboys
Okay.
because
you believe in Tony Romo?
I do think the offense will bounce back against
Okay.
Tennessee, but I think people are not giving the Tennessee's defense the credit it deserves, and I think
Titans are good.
the Cowboys' D is still really bad. So
Gotcha. So you're picking Titans.
yeah.
You're
I'm just
picking
gonna go.
Cowboys.
I'm gonna go Cowboys just because of their offensive talent.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys just because I like their logo. And then it's Arizona Cardinals against the New York Giants. Eli Manning and who's Carson Palmer?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Who's gonna win this game?
Cardinals by a long shot.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think that the Giants were favorites for this game.
I think no.
No.
The Cardinals are definitely the favorites, but I think it will be a little closer just because it's the New York Giants' home park. I don't think they can get much worse than what they did offensively last time. The Cardinals did lose some defensive people up front in their linebacking core and their defensive line, but their defense still looks solid, and their offense has some potential.
Okay.
Palmer looks better this year than he did last year, too.
But the Giants, their offense still looks really bad.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Giants are nuts.
So
Okay, so you're going with
I guess I have to go with Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'll also go with Cardinals.
Good job.
The New England Patriots against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm gonna pick the Vikings because I went to Irvington. I'm with the Vikings. But Chengiz and Hirsch, your opinions will matter more. So.
Common sense tells me to pick the Patriots.
Same here. They're expected to bounce back. Bill Belichick's not likely to lose 2 games in a row.
Go Vikings.
But the Vikings can put up a fight. North Turner's a good offensive coordinator for them,
Yeah.
and their defense is looking solid under Mike Zimmer, our new coach.
I believe in Minnesota. Next game we're talking about is the New Orleans Saints against the Cleveland Browns, Hirsch's team. I'm picking the Saints because Drew Brees is amazing.
This is a clear game. The Saints should win.
Yeah.
It is on the road, so you give Cleveland some chance. And they did bounce back after that poor first half against Steelers. But you can't bet against Drew Brees, like you said.
Yeah.
And Cleveland already lost Van Tate. And they're playing with Brian Hoyer, so I'm not that confident with that.
As much as I want to pick my team, I can't. Sound logic tells me not to.
Right. Do you think Johnny Manziel will start sometime?
Later on. Hoyer's second half of last week's game was I think he went 15 for 20.
He looked impressive. I think he delayed the Manziel coming out part.
I'd keep it week 6 or later if Manziel does play. Or does start.
Cool. Alright, so New Orleans. Alright, next one. The Atlanta, you gotta help me here. Falcons against the Cincinnati Bears. I know the Falcons. Bengals.
You got it right the first time.
Sorry, I was thinking Chicago. I apologize. So I'm picking the Falcons because I really like their logo. That's not a bad reason because their logo is really sick and Matt Ryan is an amazing guy, I think. And their wide receivers, Julio Jones and the other dude, Roddy White. I like that combo just because they just sound cool. So what do you think, Chengiz?
I think this is one of the more intriguing matchups of the week. I would like to pick the Bengals. I think their defense is really strong. I like what Andy Dalton and AJ Green do as a QB wide receiver combo. And I think the Falcons don't play as well on the road, so I'm going Bengals.
I'm going to pick Falcons just because,
Just because of my reasons, right?
Your reasons were pretty legit. Also, I think the Bengals, in their game last week against the Ravens, both teams just looked so sloppy. It was funny to see as a Browns fan, but, as a football fan, it kind of hurt.
Yeah.
They were just really sloppy last
Well, it
week.
was a crazy offensive game, right? I watched the game, the New Orleans Saints and the Falcons.
Oh yeah,
last
that
week.
one was.
That was.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good
It was
game.
a shootout. Yeah, it was a good game.
But maybe I just looked at it that way because I don't appreciate defense as much because I'm not as big of an NFL fan.
No, it was a good game.
Okay.
Like, had Colston not fumbled that ball, like it came down to one play. If one of the wide receivers on the Saints fumbled in overtime or fourth quarter, I can't remember.
Right.
But had he not done that, the Saints would have won.
Yeah. So, on Atlanta, Cincinnati.
Yep.
All right. Next one, Detroit Lions against the Carolina Panthers. Panthers sound good to me, and I don't like Detroit Tigers, so I'm picking Panthers. How about you?
This is another tough one.
Yeah, it is tough.
This
Well,
is
I thought
a battle
Carolina-
between Detroit's like really good offense and Carolina's really good defense.
Oh, I thought Carolina wasn't that great.
Oh
Their
no,
defense is
they're getting
phenomenal.
their demise is exaggerated
Gotcha.
because their offense last year, this year they're saying they have no wide receivers, but last year they only had Steve Smith.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not much of a difference.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers can still be competitive. Cam Newton's still a really good quarterback, and their defense still really strong.
Mhm.
I'll say Detroit pulls one out on the road.
I'm gonna go Detroit too. I see a lot of big things for Matthew Stafford this season, and it's gonna be hard for me to pick against him.
It's not hard for me. All right, so Detroit.
Yeah.
Not Detroit. All right, St. Louis Rams against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know the Rams are a terrible team. They lost their quarterback Sam Bradford for the season, so I'm picking not St. Louis Rams. How about you?
They're not a terrible team, but they did get unlucky with the quarterback thing, and now Chris Long is out for like 8 weeks,
I heard the season.
maybe a season. So I think they're kind of screwed at this point.
Yeah.
You got to go Tampa Bay at home here, even though they actually look pretty underwhelming against Carolina last week
Gotcha.
against the backup QB.
Yeah, this one's pretty tough pick too. I think I'm gonna go Bucks. They have a lot of off-season additions, but we haven't seen them pan out just yet. And I think once they're at home, should help them out a bit.
They were at home
They were at
last
home
week.
last week
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, so much for
Maybe they'll get lucky this week. I don't know. I just have that gut feeling.
All right, cool. So next one, Seattle Seahawks against the San Diego Chargers. I was thinking the Padres. Sorry. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks because like everyone picks them all the time. So I'm wondering what you guys think.
As much as I want to pick the Chargers, I gotta go Seahawks here.
Yeah.
The Chargers, I really thought they could pull off the road win against the Cardinals last week, but they didn't. Their offense wasn't as good as I thought it would be, so I'm thinking they're not going to have a chance against Seattle.
Yes. So Seattle for all of us. That's unanimous. The Houston Texans against the Oakland Raiders. They're facing off each other in the Odonco Coliseum, so we know for a fact that the dirt is going to be in the middle. And when the A's come back to play, they'll have the grid lines, which will be awesome to watch. I'm picking the Raiders just because Oakland. What about you?
I think the Raiders have a chance, but I want to go the Texans here. I think the Texans D look pretty good. I think they're kind of nursing Derek Carr into the role of QB. They're giving him a lot of short passes, not giving him any deep throws, and their running game has been really bad.
Gotcha.
Maurice Jones-Drew and what's his name? Darren McFadden.
Darren McFadden.
So
Doesn't he get injured all the time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's one gets injured all the time. So I'm gonna go Houston here, even though Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't that great himself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Houston as well, just because like Arian Foster could get them enough yards to kick enough field goals to win.
Gotcha.
So
It'll
I'm
be
gonna
pretty
go-
hard to kick field goals on that dirt, though.
I expect a low score.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a fun game to watch.
It really won't be. No. Well, the fans are kind of fun to watch. I don't know. All right, next one. The New York Jets against the Green Bay Packers. I'm picking the Packers because of Aaron Rodgers, because I have State Farm, and I always discount double check. So, thank you, Rodgers.
Gotta go the Packers here.
See ya, I was
Jets. The Jets D looked good against the Raiders last week,
Yeah.
but their offense. I mean, Geno Smith didn't look bad,
Mhm.
but they could have put out a lot more points against the Raiders
A
defense.
hapless Raiders.
That's not that great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to go Green Bay here.
Okay.
Yeah, Green Bay just for Aaron Rodgers. You can't go wrong there.
Exactly. Told you. All right, the next pick, we'll be talking about the Kansas City Chiefs against the Denver Broncos. Kansas City Chiefs, I know, have a coach that's like really huge in size. And I remember last year in the playoffs, they had like a sizable lead, and then the Colts came back right.
Yeah,
So,
I blame that more on the injuries than the Colts playing. Well, the Colts did play well, but
okay,
Chiefs
so
got really unlucky.
okay, but who do you guys think is going to win this week? Peyton Manning or Alex Smith?
It's got to be Broncos. I think the Chiefs' offense looked a little underwhelming. They weren't giving the ball to Jamal Charles enough, and the Broncos' offense just looks as good as ever, and their defense has improved. So cool.
Defense improved a lot, actually.
And you're in Denver, so it's hard to win there.
Right.
I'm gonna go Denver too.
Yeah, I'll go Denver too. Go Broncos. All right, the next one, Chicago Bears against the 49ers in Levi's Stadium. First game, right? At home.
Yeah.
And that's going to be pretty exciting. It's going to be a new stadium, a lot of, I guess, events and stuff. Don't you feel like the Niners should win this game, or do you think it's actually quite a hard pick to do?
No, I think the Niners should win this game. The Bears looked bad against the Bills last week.
Okay.
They're actually my pick in like the Survivor Challenge thing. You pick one game a week with like the most confidence.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, we should just like edit that out.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
The Bears didn't look good last week. They lost to a team they shouldn't have lost to, and now they're on the road. I guess Niners offense, it looks improved, even though the run defense hasn't looked great. I think the pass defense, for the most part, held up. I think Jay Cutler's going to throw one more pick than Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
That's going to be the reason they lose.
Yeah, I think I'll pick Niners too, but the Bears' offense is something to watch out for.
Aren't the Bears?
They are, but they might be missing some people.
Aren't the
like
Bears
offensive line injuries, and Alshon Jeffrey might miss the game, so you gotta expect that.
I felt like the Bears always had a reputation for having good defense for like a long time.
Yeah,
It's changed now.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
changed.
okay.
It's quite the opposite now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of sad. I'm going with the Niners.
I feel like Forte's going to give the Niners a lot of problems.
Okay. But I guess that's as far as it goes. Okay, last one. Philadelphia Eagles against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to go with the Colts because they're playing at home, and Andrew Luck seems like a good player. I don't know. So
This is a fun one. I think this should be a more high-scoring game.
Okay.
I expect the Colts to win as well. I think Andrew Luck picked it up at the end of the second half of the Broncos game, and the Eagles, well, their offense looks good. Their defense is okay.
Yeah. I think Andrew Luck's going to have a field day. There's so much hype to this Eagles team. I just can't buy into it for some reason.
Okay. Weren't they always like supposed to be like the dream team or something like that?
That was
that was
like
a while ago.
couple years ago,
yeah.
and then they flopped pretty badly.
Yeah, I think that's how it was for the Phillies too.
But I do say that the Colts' one concern is their running game looks really poor.
Yeah.
Trent Richardson continues to disappoint.
Yeah, how did that happen? Weren't people like, oh my god, I can't believe the Browns traded him?
Yeah, I was one of those people. Yeah.
Right, and do you think it's because of injuries?
No, he just can't perform at this level.
Gotcha.
Nothing
Interesting.
Before, I guess his game was like all power back and just like run over people.
Okay.
Doesn't work in the NFL the same way.
Right.
For him, anyways.
Yeah.
Right. All right. That concludes our segment for the NFL Pick'em. If you have your own predictions to make, feel free to write that in the comments section down below. And we're probably gonna do this on a weekly basis. That's not a guarantee, really, considering we're all quite. Yeah, it really isn't, considering we're all.
You never post anything on it.
Yeah, I'm pretty lazy head of this site. So that's going to do it for this segment. We'll move on to more interesting topics, but before that, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Woo.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge. Straight out of Compton, there's a crazy brother named Ice Cube from the stupid dope gang with an attitude.
Welcome back to SportsKop, ladies and gentlemen. We were just talking about the NFL, and now we're going to shift gears to the wild card and just general playoffs in Major League Baseball. Joining me again is Chingiz and Hirsch, and we'll be starting with the Cleveland Indians, because I really want to talk about that with Hirsch. They're kind of in the wild card hunt.
Yeah, they're only like 3.5 out for the wild card and 4.5 for Central, and they've been like swinging hot bats lately. So they've had a good August, they're having a good September so far. It's not too crazy to say they can grab one of the playoff spots, but it still seems a bit unlikely to me.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool considering like how they've had their ups and downs, like you said. And I think there was a point in the season, especially when it was that trade deadline, when you guys made some trades, and it seemed like Cleveland was a selling team rather than a buying team. And then they come back, to put a decent what do you call it, a decent run.
Yeah.
And they seem like they're back in it. I really hope they don't get too hot because the A's are also like clinging on to the first wild card. But we'll get to that more later. But Chengiz, I want to get your perspective on the NL West standings as well as the NL wild card race. What are your thoughts about the Dodgers and the Giants series coming up this weekend?
Well, it's going to be crucial for the Giants if they want to get it back in the division race.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose 2 games, the Dodgers might slip away.
Right.
But if they win 2, hopefully 3, then they're right back in
They
it.
can tie.
But I think either way, those 2 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they're whether it's wild card or division, they're pretty much set in stone.
Right.
As one of the wild card teams and one division winner.
Right.
Do you know who's starting for the Dodgers?
I know Kershaw starting as
Ryu, Kershaw, and someone.
Greinke.
Green?
Maybe.
No,
Go Greinke. Just kidding.
because Vogel's song just went today.
It's
Oh no, Peavy went
It's
today.
Bumgarner, Petit, and someone going.
Hudson?
Well, at least you guys have your A's going. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a good weekend.
It'll be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, even I'm pretty excited to see this, even as a neutral. I want to get your perspective on who's going to finish first and second in both the wild cards. Who's going to get the berths? What are your predictions?
Are you talking about AL or NL?
Both. I just want your...
Alright, so NL, it's definitely one of the NL West teams. Whoever falls off, Dodgers or Giants, that's one spot.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the one that's a little trickier, because you have the Pirates, Brewers, and even the Marlins are still in the mix.
Yeah, which was really cool. I saw
But,
this Twitter yesterday.
We just got news of Giancarlo Stanton having a gruesome head injury,
Which is pretty disappointing.
and I think that kind of just knocks out the Marlins right there.
Yeah.
So their magic run is kind of looking like it's falling apart.
Kind of bleak, yeah.
So I think right now it looks like, Milwaukee's in a free fall.
Mm-hmm.
So I think either the Pirates or the Cardinals. Assuming if the Pirates can maybe get back in the division, the Cardinals will be it. But
right.
I think the Cardinals will win the division, so I'm gonna have to say Pirates as that second wild card for the NL.
Okay. What are your
I'm
thoughts?
predicting Dodgers and Pirates
Okay.
for a wild card. I think
I'm
Giants
not
win enough
surprised.
games to win this weekend to get the division title.
Okay.
I'm not predicting the division title, but it's one of the NL West teams in the Pirates.
Right. For me,
AL is just as fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. As far as the NL wildcard standings go, I think the Giants will get the first wildcard berth and the Cardinals will get the second one. So I'm going
So you think the Cardinals will lose the division?
Yes, I do. I
Pirates
think,
overtake them?
yeah, I do. I think I believe in the Pirates. I think they're a pretty underrated team. Vance really, go you. Hirsch, what are your thoughts about the AL wildcard standings? And then I'll get Chengiz's perspective as well.
Sorry to say, but I don't think Oakland will hold on,
Okay.
especially after.
The monumental collapse.
Yeah, they're gonna play Seattle this weekend, and then you were listing off the pitchers they have to face, and it doesn't look too great for them.
Yeah, we'll cover the Oakland A's
Okay.
in more depth later.
Long story short, I just think Seattle and Detroit take it.
Okay. What about you, Chengiz?
I think Detroit wins the division still. I don't know, I just have a feeling they are. So I'm going to say Royals get one spot. And, I'm sorry, I have to go with Seattle. The second one.
Yeah, it's not looking so great for us. It really isn't. And speaking of the Oakland A's, we're going to talk about them after taking just a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone. Tonight we're going to now talk about the Oakland A's. Chengiz and I just picked them to miss the wild card spot, which would have been the A's not making the playoffs come All-Star time would have been no one could have predicted
The
that.
shock of the century.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I still give the A's a shot. I mean, my
Like, there's still a
prediction is not,
chance,
there's
but
not
the
a lot
fact
of
that we're
confidence in that.
thinking that,
Right.
But it's a possibility. That's just
that's shocking in itself. Yeah.
Right.
So we have Aditya here who's been following the A's from opening day very closely. And we're going to ask him to share his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean,
just pause it right there.
the pencil dropping of Hirsch is kind of describing how the season's been.
Should we start?
No, just leave it right
just
there.
cut it after you ask the question.
Okay.
Alright, Aditya, response in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think, it's been a tough month and a half to really swallow for any A's fan, considering how much we've just fallen off. Like you said, in the All-Star break, I think we had like 7 All-Star representatives, including Jeff Samardzija, and I don't think anyone really saw them just tailing off this badly. And I think the wild card was an afterthought. People were just saying that we'll win the division, and the wild card will be the Angels, but it's definitely not looking that way right now. I think it's quite safe to say that we can just disregard the wild card, or sorry, not the wild card, but the division completely, because the Angels are running away with it, and they look like the A's team of the first half. They're winning games handily. They're scoring a lot of runs, and the heart of their lineup's looking good. Cole Calhoun and Eric Ibar are also contributing a lot at the top of their lineup, and that's the exact opposite for the A's. Sam Fuld is our leadoff hitter. I mean, what's that all about? And Donaldson is known for being really streaky, and unfortunately, right now, it's in the wrong direction. 2 days ago, the A's blew away the White Sox with like 11-3 win, courtesy of 5 errors thanks to the White Sox. And Donaldson went 4 for 5, but that's just, a little silver lining, I guess, considering how bad he's been over the course of this cold streak. And it's not just Donaldson. I mean, you can't really blame it on one player. It's been a cumulative effort of being terrible. Brandon Moss has been ice cold since the All-Star break. He's been hitting, I think, well below the Mendoza line since the All-Star break. And he hasn't homered for, I think, close to 25 games now. Having Eric Sogard penciled in the lineup doesn't help. Alberto Callaspo has been terrible. And it's just our offensive production has just tailed off. It's not the same team that it was before Cespedes. I hate to say that because people were saying that, you can't really pin the offensive struggles to one player or just one trade. But that's really what this is. I mean, if you look at how the lineup was structured when Cespedes was there, it was kind of like a leverage for Moss and Donaldson to have a different approach at the plate. They didn't have as much responsibility. I know that sounds kind of silly considering you can say that, oh, they're all professionals. They should know what they're doing. They can't just blame it on one player. But it was a different feeling of a team. They seemed like they were just having fun out there. They would just get hits, get a lot of runs, and then the pitchers wouldn't have the pressure of, pitching like a game where they can only give up 1 run or no runs. They were just going out there and they had good run support. And so the pitching didn't have too much pressure to pitch that great, even though they did. And right now it's like 1 error in a game can cost us the entire game. 1 earned run costs us the entire game, like today. And it's really disappointing how the season just tailed off. Yesterday I was listening to 95.7 and Buster Olney was on Bucher and Townie's show, and he was talking about how, this is kind of like the worst collapse in Major League Baseball, considering the A's were one of the favorites to win the World Series, and now they're not even the favorites to win a wild card berth. It's been really disappointing. I don't know what exactly can happen because we only have 21 more games left to play in the season, and I think they should just focus on just getting the wild card berth. And if they can win the 1 game wild card game, if they get it, then it's a crapshoot. Then I don't know what will happen. But for right now, that should be their focus. Forget the division. Just worry about the wild card.
I mean, I think you're right about Cespedes trade making a huge impact, but I think the lineup in general is just not doing as well as it should be doing.
Yeah.
Without him there, I mean, it reminds me of the Giants' fall down a couple of months back, where every hitter was just went in the slump. It wasn't just like Pence or just Posey or just Panda. They were like
Right.
all not contributing.
Right.
So even if one was hot, like the others were not picking up. So
Mhm.
you can't make runs that way.
Right.
And similarly, when we got back to our like normal selves, everyone started hitting again out of nowhere.
Mhm.
It's kind of like the whole as one person hits, hitting is contagious. You know that phrase. So I think once one of your guys starts going, I think it'll make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, Jet Lowry is kind of like on a hot streak, and hopefully that gets the team going. Adam Dunn I thought was a nice acquisition for what we paid, and it kind of helps us in the middle of the lineup. And
I think there's also some like regression. Just
like definitely,
Jesse Chavez, Kazmir. I mean, that's why you made the pitching moves.
exactly.
But then you didn't really. Billy Bean combated that by acquiring Lester and stuff. But
Exactly, yeah.
he didn't really acquire anyone to combat like the Moss regression.
The Moss regression or the
stuff like
Donaldson
that.
one, which
Yeah.
or the Derek Norris.
Or the Derek Norris.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's why I can't really criticize the Lester trade because we saw this coming. I mean, we didn't see the trade coming, but we saw the regression from the likes of Scott Kazmir and Jesse Chavez, like you said. And Sonny Gray has never pitched as much innings as he has, so far.
He's bound to get tired.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so that's why I like the trade at that point. The Cespedes trade was kind of, mixed feelings about it. I mean, you can look at that in the last Vodcast if you want to. But, I just thought that it wouldn't affect us as badly as it did. But, I mean, that's the reality of it. And like you said, I was expecting a regression from Moss and the likes of Derek Norris. I mean, he's an all-star, but, he's never really had a great season before this year. And people knew that...
Platoons can only go so far.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, I don't know. Let's just hope for the best, at least for
I think
me.
also you guys are kind of going away from what you used to do in the sense that, like, with the offense struggling, you started bunting more.
Yeah.
And you're starting to intentionally walk people even though that goes against your philosophy.
Yeah, it really does. And that's something that I don't know why, like, Bob
I think
Allen-
it's just desperate times. I think that's
Exactly. I mean, the amount of bunts that we've been doing, especially in the White Sox series, it was just frustrating to watch. I mean, I'm not a big fan of bunting whatsoever. I can understand it in certain situations, but like you said, they're just trying to do whatever they can to just get one run on the board.
I do think that's one more thing I want to add. Like, your offense kind of was a feast or famine type thing. You kind of did like the 3 true outcomes. You would either walk, home run, or strike out.
Yeah.
So you're not
That's
getting
basically like Adam Dunn in a nutshell.
Yeah, when you're not getting the singles or doubles or triples,
Yeah,
it really hurts.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And
And
moving the runners with even like sack flies and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
and our home run, the fly dingers has been very low. It's been extremely low. After
I
the
think-
All-Star break.
They're bound to come back in like some form. I think that's what you have to hope for. And that's us when you're going to get into the wild card.
Yeah.
Or keep that position.
It's reminding me of the 2010 Giants. Because their August was pretty bad. And then,
I mean, there's definitely still a
Yeah.
chance that you guys can bounce back.
Yeah, hopefully it happens because looking at the future, it doesn't look very promising.
I think next year you could still make a run, but after that, it's going to be
it's gonna be pretty
2016. I don't think there's
No.
much hope for this
no.
roster.
And if we don't even make a playoff run come the deadline day for trading next year, all our big pieces will be started to trade. Donaldson will be gone, Moss will be gone.
Yeah, I think it's going to be building for the future again.
Basically, because our farm system is just completely depleted.
And one more thing, you guys got to keep Ray Fosse in the booth.
That's
I'm sick
true,
of hearing Shooty Babbitt all the time.
dude. I can't believe they thought that it was a good idea to bring him in for 20 games to pair up with Glenn Kuiper. I'm not the biggest fan of Kuiper. And he's a good commentator, don't get me wrong, but I just don't like his home run calls just much like you don't like it that much.
I'm a Giants fan, but I'm a fan of Ray Fosse. I think he's a nice color commentator.
No, he is, and he always sounds humble. He always appreciates opponents, and it's just nice to hear someone that refreshing. But Shooty Babbitt, he has an annoying voice. No offense to him, but when he comes up to commentate, for example, I'm gonna do my best impersonation of Shooty Babbitt, but it's let's say for example Donaldson got a base hit, which hasn't happened for a long time, but let's just assume he did. He will start saying Donaldson has always been such a great hitter, Glenn. He always goes up to bat every time, and he just gets base hit like a professional player. You know, he hits the ball well, and it just goes deep. Sometimes it goes out of the fence for a home run. You know what that's like, right, Glenn? And then if someone pitches or gets a strikeout, like, for example, if Casimir got a strikeout, he'd be like, you know, Scott Casimir's always been a fantastic player. He locates the pitch so well. He gets it right in the strike zone because that's how you get a strike. He makes them swing every pitch. His cutter's nasty. He doesn't even throw cutters, but I think he does. And it's just, that's my best impersonation.
What if something goes wrong?
Well, if something goes wrong, he'll just blame everyone else.
There's an error.
If there's an error,
that costs a run.
He will blame everybody but the A's players. That's how he is. He'll literally say, like, oh, you know, Brandon Moss had the ball, but he was trying to throw to first, but the wind just caught the ball and it just went somewhere else. It went to the dugout, and Bob Melvin should have got the ball and thrown it back to first base to get the runner out. I just think the MLB rules should change, Glenn. I don't think that error should be costing for a run. They should stop the play and tell them that the A's should not be charged for a run. You know what I mean, Glenn. And then Glenn would just go, I just wish Ray Fosse was back. And so do we.
Oh, man. Thanks for listening to that segment. We'll be right back with some English Premier League talk here on SportsKop Vodcast.
Aditya's favorite sport and talk about the English Premier League.
That's for you, Ben.
Alright, so a few weeks have gone by. Do you want to give us a quick recap of what's been going on?
Yeah, sure. I made an EPL prediction article on SportsKop. You can check that out if you want.
Put it in the description.
Yeah, we'll put a little link below. And I think so far it's kind of been how I expected it to be, with the exception of Manchester United, which we'll get to a little bit later. But I thought Manchester City and Chelsea would be dominant, and they have been so far. Although Man City lost to Stoke City last weekend, I just think that's just a little blip. I mean, you're not expected to win every game when it's 38 games in a season. It's a marathon, really. And Chelsea just looked above and beyond everyone else. Adding Diego Costa to their lineup, who played for Atletico Madrid last year, has improved their offense, and their defense has always been good. That's kind of like the specialty of the manager, Jose Mourinho, and they've been excellent so far. As far as Liverpool goes, they played Manchester City in the second game of the EPL, and it was more or less kind of what I expected. I have to be honest, I couldn't watch the entire game because I had to go to class, but I watched the first half, and I was quite impressed by what Liverpool were doing. It's just City just look like a much better team. And Yaya Toure really orchestrates the entire midfield and the entire team in general. And he's entering his age 31 season, and people might think that this is like when he'll start regressing, but I think he has other plans. I think he still has a couple of good years left in him, or even more. But Manchester City look like a really good team. Chelsea's looking good. Arsenal, I think it's kind of unfortunate that they just lost Aaron Ramsey. I don't know how long the injury is going to last, but they were playing international friendlies this weekend for European qualifiers and stuff. And Wales, where Aaron Ramsey is from, they had to play Andorra, a random country in Europe, and they had to play on an artificial turf field, which is actually quite hard for soccer players because it's really bad for your knees. And he got a pretty bad injury as a result. Even Gareth Bale suffered an injury scare, but he's okay. But the point is, I think for Arsenal, I predicted them to finish third. I'm sticking by that prediction just because I feel like if this team realizes its potential and every single player on that team does what they can do, it's kind of like Liverpool from last year. They didn't have a lot of depth, but the players that they did have in their first starting lineup, they all realized like the highest potential they can. and they all played their part, and they made such a miraculous run. If Arsenal can do that,
And if Ben Root's hard enough.
yeah, and if Ben Root's hard enough, that's an important point. But I think if they can do that, then they can actually have a really good season. But like always, they get a bunch of injuries. I mean, Olivier Giroud, who's their main striker, is out for the year, and Ramsey just suffered a knock. So I'm sticking with my prediction that they'll finish third. I just don't think that that's as realistic as I thought it was 3 weeks ago.
So who do you think is going to round up the top four?
My top four, I said it would be
City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and...
yeah. I said Chelsea first, City second, Arsenal third, and Tottenham fourth. I'm not so sure about Tottenham now. Liverpool played Tottenham last weekend, and I was very impressed by the Liverpool team. And I haven't really emphasized too much on Liverpool, so now's the time to do it. But I think the signings that Rodgers has made is just excellent. I mean, Rodgers is kind of slowly becoming like my Billy Bean now. Like I believe in everything he does. He can sign someone like Emil Heskey, and I'll still say that was a great signing. I mean, he's a bad player.
So do you think Liverpool wins or gets the fourth spot?
Yeah, I think they have a really good shot of doing that.
Does anyone else have a shot? Like, who realistically also has a shot at top four?
I would say Manchester United.
You still think?
I do. I do think that they can have a good run, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But as far as Liverpool goes, the depth that's added to the squad, I really like. And I'm sorry, but the signings that Rodgers has made, what's cool about it is he's always had a plan all along to like transition this team after Suarez left. He added more depth because we're gonna play more games because of the Champions League. And Mario Balotelli, I think, is going to be really fun to watch all season long.
And then you have his defense.
And the defensive help is also pretty excellent. I mean, we signed Lovren from Southampton, who looks like a really good player, and Alberto Moreno from Sevilla. And he was quite impressive against Tottenham. So I like what Liverpool's doing. We just lost Daniel Sturridge for 3 weeks because he played for England and got an injury. That's one of the reasons I hate international breaks. But I think they're going to be good. I don't expect great things from Liverpool. I don't think they're going to win the Premier League, but I think they'll have a good season, and they're just fun to watch now with the system Rodgers has. As far as Manchester United goes, and the transfers that goes, I know you guys wanted to ask.
Yeah, we're going to ask you any big things happen on the transfer deadline day.
Yeah, the transfer deadline. I mean, it was really dominated by Manchester United, to be honest, considering all the other big signings were done way before the deadline day was.
Are their moves going to help them at all? Can they actually bounce back?
You know, I saw like a funny photo of like describing how the United team is. It was basically like a really strong guy. He has like strong shoulders and like a strong upper body, but then his legs are like chicken legs. And it's like the legs show their defense, and their offense is like the upper body. And that's kind of how the team is. I mean, their defense is atrocious. Their midfield is decent, and their attacking options are excellent. But really, you need a good defense. I mean, we saw that kind of with Liverpool last season.
I was going to say, like, is it like a way more extreme version of Liverpool?
Basically,
like their defense is even way worse.
Yeah, I mean, they signed this guy named Blind. His actual name is Blind. Or I think it's pronounced Blind, but it's spelled Blind. He's a Dutch player, and he has ties with Louis van Gaal, who's the new manager for Manchester United. I think he'll help. But, I mean, their front line with Falcao, Rooney, and Van Persie looks very impressive. If Rooney doesn't do badly, which is no guarantee. And they're shelling a lot of money for their salaries. I mean, they're paying $300K to Rooney, $360K to Falcao, and I think close to $250 for Van Persie. I mean, that's crazy money. I think the transfers that they have done will help, and I think it's going to take a little bit more time for the team to really realize its potential. Luke Shaw, who they brought from Southampton for, I think, close to £32 million, is going to come back soon. And they've bought another guy named Herrera from Portugal, if I'm not mistaken, from Sporting Lisbon. And he's touted to be a top prospect as well. And they paid quite a pretty penny for him. So if they can realize their potential, then the midfield will be fortified. They have a lot of good attacking options. And if their defense just holds up, doesn't do as bad as people think it will, then I think they have a realistic shot of finishing in the top 4. I don't think there's going to be title contenders, though.
But, I mean, wasn't this the same kind of things that were happening last year? Everyone thought they would eventually figure it out. They would eventually get back to normal.
Yeah, but I just think that this team, they kind of, their expectations are lower. You know, last year, arguably one of the greatest English managers, if not the best, and Sir Alex Ferguson just retired. And David Moyes had, ridiculous expectations. People expected them to contend for the title again. And it didn't happen. But I think this year, they're more grounded. They realize that, okay, we just need to get back into the top 4 so we can get back in the Champions League. Kind of like how Liverpool were for, quite some time. And so, with that reduced amount of expectations, and the manager in Louis van Gaal, who has experience with top teams before, no offense to Everton, but David Moyes only managed them for 10 years. So, he didn't really have that experience at the top level. So, I don't think it's going to be as bad as last season. Let's just put it that way.
I think they'd get relegated. Sheffield Wednesday all the way.
That would be awesome if United do get relegated. No bias here.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think that does it for today's segment.
So that concludes our segment for today. We went over the
NFL pick'em,
MLB Playoffs.
Discuss the Oakland A's a little.
and the EPL like always.
Thanks for listening or watching.
And thanks for appreciating spending an hour listening to us babble about.
See you next
sports.
time, Ben.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
And ladies. Call me. This is our special segment, SportsKop, brought to you by Nesquik and Cheetos. We have this new segment called LD or Not. Now, if you're not familiar with the term LD, it's basically an insulting term for people we don't like. I'm not one of them. They call me LD, but that's a different story. We're going to start with Richard Sherman, LD or Not.
LD for sure.
It's like definition of LD right there.
Okay, fantastic. Ruben Amaro Jr., LD or Not.
I think you should ask this. I'm asking.
He's an LD for sure.
If there's a dictionary with pictures and they use pictures instead of definitions, his face would be right there next to LD.
Absolutely. I agree. Shahab Mir, LD or Not.
Probably no.
I think he's an LD. I don't think Hirsch has to say because he doesn't know him that well.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah. Bryce Harper, LD or Not.
LD.
XD.
Depends on what his hair is.
Yeah.
If his hair is kind of toolish, then he's LD.
Gotcha. Ray Rice, LD or Not.
Definitely.
LD.
I used to like him.
That kind of fits really well. Yeah. Sid Floyd, LD or Not.
Mine is next.
XD. He's fat. But he's
XD is the opposite of LD.
Yeah, just
for those wondering.
for you know. Who else? Aaron Andrews. XD. She's on it. Yeah, she on it. Alright, you guys have some nominations?
Okay.
It's your shoe ups.
It's like a toss-up.
Total LD.
I have no say. I can't just say that I'm an XD.
I'll say XD.
Thank you.
Yeah. 50-50. These guys don't like it.
Alright. Alumni College.
LD.
You
almost got kicked out of my own studio. LD.
Yeah, the lady who just walked in. She's not it.
LD.
Yeah, next time.
What does it sound?
Let us know.
The
if
viewer
you
is
have-
XD. The viewer is XD.
The viewer is XD because there's only one person. Let us know if you have any other suggestions for LD or Not by leaving it on comments. Ben, I'm sure you have some.
Oh, by the way, if the viewer's name is Aditya, then LD.
Yeah, LD.